It started with ham, wine, and a smirk. Easter dinner at my parents' house had always been a show, mostly starring my older brother, Grove. He walked into every room like he owned it, even now in his 30s. When we were kids, he was the one who solved a Rubik's Cube in under a minute and never let anyone forget it. These days, he worked in tech, name-dropping CEOs and startup founders like they were his drinking buddies. Me, I took a quieter road. Business analytics. Strategy. Not exciting to most, but it paid well. I didn't post updates on LinkedIn every month or brag at family events. I just kept building, quietly, steadily, until I was 29 and helping lead acquisitions at a growing tech firm. But none of that mattered at my parents' dining table. Grove always found a way to remind everyone who the real success was. That night, I was sitting beside Grandma, talking about our little book club, when it happened. Grove leaned back in his chair, loud as always. "Not everyone can handle a real career in tech," he said, loud enough for the whole table to hear. "Some people just hang around the edges and call it strategy." His girlfriend, Bella, something like that, laughed like a cartoon character. My mom smiled like she didn't hear it. My dad suddenly became very interested in his mashed potatoes. I just sat there, calm. Grandma, though, she slowly set down her fork, looked Grove dead in the eye, then turned to me. "Is that why your company just bought his?" she asked, her voice as sweet as ever. Silence. You could hear the clock ticking in the hallway. Belle's phone dropped a little. Grove's smirk twitched. My mom froze. My dad covered a laugh with a cough. I hadn't told them. I hadn't said a word all weekend. But yes, my company had just closed a deal to acquire the startup Grove worked at. And yes, I was the strategic lead. I read their numbers, reviewed their code efficiency, even saw the performance reports. Grove's name was there, but not in a good way. I took a slow sip of wine and said, "We're very excited about the integration." Grandma smiled, picked up her fork, and went back to eating like she hadn't just set the house on fire. Grove muttered something about how the deal wasn't final, and these things change all the time. But he didn't say much after that. For the rest of dinner, he was quiet. And for once, I wasn't standing in his shadow. I was the storm he never saw coming. He danced in the sun like nothing had changed. The next few weeks were quiet. Tense. Grove didn't call, didn't text. I didn't expect him to. My mom did, though. "Did you have to embarrass him like that?" she asked over the phone. I was silent for a moment. "I didn't say anything, Mom." "That was Grandma," she sighed. "Still, you could have softened it." I almost laughed. Softened what asterisk, exactly? The truth. The years of Grove treating me like I didn't matter. The years of him telling me I was playing it safe while he was changing the world. No, it wasn't about Easter dinner. It was about everything that led up to it. All the small cuts over the years, his advice I never asked for, his comments that sounded helpful but always stung. "You should pivot to coding if you want to be taken seriously. You're in strategy. So, PowerPoints and buzzwords." Every time I achieved something, Grove found a way to twist it, downplay it, remind me he was the one doing real work. But he didn't see the late-night calls, the meetings that drained me, the emails I rewrote 10 times before sending. He didn't know how hard it was to get a seat at the table and be taken seriously, especially when your own family doubted you. When I saw his name on the employee list during the acquisition, I didn't blink. I didn't warn him, not out of spite, but because business is business. Sometimes, business is also poetry. A week after the deal became public, I got an email from him. Subject: Coffee. "Hi, I hope you're doing well. I was wondering if we could grab coffee sometime. I'd love to get your thoughts on the new structure and potential career transitions." Career transitions. I read that twice. I already knew, HR had told me. Grove's role was being phased out. His team hadn't been performing, and there were redundancies. His name was on the list. I didn't answer right away. Not because I wanted to be cruel, but because I had to think. This was the same brother who once told my high school boyfriend that I was too emotional for corporate. The same Grove who used to yank food off my plate just to prove he could win. The same one who told our aunt I worked in corporate decoration. But still, he was my brother. We met at a quiet cafe 2 blocks from my office. He looked different, less sharp. His shoulders didn't carry that same arrogance anymore. He looked human, tired, like someone who just realized the ladder he'd been climbing was leaning on the wrong building. He tried to chat, weather, traffic, something about a new phone, but it all fizzled out. Eventually, he leaned back and said, "So, I guess, congratulations are in order." I gave a small smile. "Thanks." Then, he asked the one question I never thought I'd hear. "How did you do it?" Not with attitude, not bitter, just honest, curious, maybe even a little respectful. I thought for a second, then answered, "I listened more than I spoke. I waited for the right moments. I worked in silence, but I made sure when I talked, it mattered." He nodded slowly. "That Grove I used to know, the one who talked over people in family dinners, that guy wasn't sitting across from me anymore." Then he asked, "Do you think there's a place for me in the new structure, I mean?" I didn't promise him anything. I said, "You'll have to go through the process like everyone else. No special favors. But, if you're ready to learn and grow, and be part of something bigger than yourself, then maybe." He nodded again. We stood outside the cafe, a little awkward. He didn't hug me, but he said, "Thanks, sis." That night, my phone rang. It was Grandma. She didn't talk about what happened. She never did. She just said, "You handled that well. I always knew which of you had the real power." And for the first time in a long, long time, I felt seen. Not as Grove's little sister. Not as the quiet one. But as a woman who had built something real. Something strong. Something that no one, not even Grove, could ignore anymore. Respect was starting to grow between us, or so I thought. But nothing in my family stays quiet for long. 2 weeks after that honest coffee with Grove, I had a rare moment of peace. I wasn't expecting a miracle. Just, maybe a shift. He seemed humbled. He had listened. He had thanked me. And for the first time in a long time, I let myself hope. Maybe this could be the start of something new, something real. Maybe we could finally talk like adults. Like equals. Then came the email. It was a Tuesday morning. My 3rd cup of coffee sat in my hand. Our internal hiring team forwarded it to me. Subject: Strategic Career Pitch, Grove Williams. I assumed it was his resume. Maybe a quick follow-up. What I got instead was 5 paragraphs of buzzwords, ego, and a slap in the face. He didn't write like someone hoping to rejoin the company. He wrote like a motivational speaker auditioning for a TED Talk. The tone was smug, overconfident, and absolutely exhausting. He called himself a visionary leader in the tech space. He said he could optimize leadership structures and elevate the company's innovation DNA. He used every flashy phrase he could think of: paradigm shift, synergy, value extraction. But what twisted my stomach was this line: "Given my deep understanding of both the acquisition landscape and internal operations, I believe I am uniquely qualified to partner directly with executive leadership, including my sister, who, while talented, has primarily focused on numbers rather than vision." I read it again, then again. There it was, the jab. Even now, even after everything, Grove still couldn't help trying to stand on my shoulders. Still couldn't just respect what I had built. Still had to spin it so he was the visionary, and I was just the calculator. I didn't reply. Instead, I flagged the email and brought it straight to HR and the VP of Operations. After they read it, the VP looked at me carefully. "You want us to bring him in?" I shook my head. "No, I just wanted you to see this. If he applies through the proper channels, treat him like any other candidate. But if he uses my name again to get special access, bring it to me." They nodded. No questions. They understood. This wasn't about revenge. It was about fairness. Grove had spent his life climbing ladders someone else held steady. Not this time. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. 3 days later, my mom called me. Her voice was tight. "Why are you sabotaging Grove's chances?" she snapped. "He said you're using your role to punish him for being successful." I nearly dropped the phone. "Mom," I said, calm but firm. "All I did was make sure HR saw the email he sent. He implied I'm all numbers and no vision. Is that how you ask for a job?" She went quiet, then mumbled, "Family should stick together." That's when it hit me. No matter how far I climbed, Grove would always be Grove. And my parents, they'd always defend him. They'd always see me as too much, too serious, too cold, unless I played small enough to make him feel big. But I wasn't 12 anymore. I didn't need their approval to know my worth. "Mom," I said, voice steady, "I'm not Grove's safety net. I've worked too hard to build this. If he wants a place here, he needs to earn it. Just like everyone else." She hung up after a tense goodbye. That weekend, Grandma came to visit. She brought an apple pie. We sat on my balcony. The breeze was soft, the sky pale blue. She didn't bring up the drama, not at first. She just handed me a slice and said, "You did the right thing." I looked at her. She smiled. "I raised boys like Grove. I've seen what happens when no one ever tells them no. You stood firm. That's not cruel. That's leadership." I didn't say much. I just nodded. But inside, something finally settled. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the quiet one. I was the one setting the standard. And this time, I wasn't stepping aside for anyone. I sat across from Grandma, the city lights twinkling behind her as she slowly peeled the foil off the pie. I told her everything. About the email. About the interview. About Mom's phone call. She didn't interrupt, just nodded, slowly, like she'd already known. Then she looked at me with those wise, tired eyes and said something I'll never forget. "Sometimes, people don't want you to succeed. Not because they hate you. But because they're more comfortable seeing you beneath them." I swallowed hard and asked, "Is that how it felt raising Mom and Uncle Darren?" She gave a small smile, but her eyes looked far away. "I knew who they were early on," she said. "But I also knew, I couldn't force them to grow. That part. That's a choice." I carried that with me. The following Monday, HR pinged me. "Just a heads up, Grove officially submitted his application. Didn't mention you this time." I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. Maybe he'd finally understood. But when the interview feedback came in, I wasn't surprised. "He talked too much, listened too little," the hiring manager said with a chuckle. "Spent half the time pitching a role we don't even have." He referred to himself in the third person at one point. I blinked. "Seriously?" "Yeah, like, Grove brings unmatched vision to the table." We didn't move forward with his application. And Grove, he didn't call, didn't text, didn't even write a LinkedIn post about it. He just disappeared for a while. Later, I heard he took a freelance gig with a small startup in Austin. Back to square one, only this time with no title, no spotlight, and no sister to cushion the fall. Meanwhile, I kept building. That fall, I was promoted to VP of Strategy. I led 2 more acquisitions. Hired 3 new analysts. None of them shared my last name. Grandma sent me a handwritten card after every press release. Each one ended with, "Keep going. You were never small." Then came Easter. I almost didn't go, but Grandma called a week before and said, "I'm bringing my lemon cake. I want you there." So I went. Grove was there too, quieter, more present. No girlfriend this time. No flashy watch. No loud jokes at the table. We made eye contact once during dinner. Something passed between us. I couldn't tell if it was shame or understanding. Later, while everyone cleaned up, he found me in the kitchen. Plates clinked. Grandma hummed softly as she wiped down the counters. "I was an ass," Grove said quietly. I looked at him. Didn't say anything. But, "Thanks," he added. "For not making it worse." I nodded. That was enough. Just then, Grandma walked by with her cake tin, set it on the counter beside us, and smiled. "Looks like you finally figured out who's really running the show," she said, without missing a beat. And for once, Grove didn't argue. And to my amazing listeners, if this story moved you, even just a little, I kindly ask you to support the channel by liking, sharing and subscribing. Your support helps us keep telling stories that matter, stories about real people, real growth, and the quiet power that sometimes makes the biggest noise. Thank you for being here. May your journey be just as bold and just as brave. See you in the next story.